much, Barry. I'm compelled to say, are there any questions? But expect challenges, perhaps even. One of the words that has not been used today is consortium. And I think it's important to remember that we're now partners with Harvard Medical School, Bill's Place, with Nana Bennett, with Barry, with these outstanding leaders, and in a national consortium that will help everyone advance their research and advance their research agendas. And this is maybe not the last time we get to bug Barry. He promised us to talk about the human phenotyping, which is so near and dear to my heart. And in fact, the symposium will be podcast, so you'll be able to spread it around to some of your friends and colleagues who are not able to attend. Questions? Vic?
Barry, that was wonderful. Thank you. I'm struck by the idea of having people work first in teams and then evolve to become PIs. Because you articulate a beautifully integrated vision of science in the service of humankind. But the way it really works is that the scientist works for glory and aggrandizement. That's what it is. H.L. Mencken said the stakes are so, the politics are so vicious because the stakes are so low. There isn't any money, etc., etc. We know that a driven PI does it for recognition and fame, I believe. And so how do you envision someone who has been a team player suddenly getting that testosterone storm to go off and have that fight, to be that push-through PI, or the converse?
I'd say let's do the experiment, because I'm not convinced that it can't happen. And I think, frankly, the complexity of being a PI today has also escalated, administratively, organizationally, commitment of time for meetings and other things. I think it's a diversion. And I think young people who are turned off because they see how difficult it is. And I think if somebody has built their scientific strength and eventually, in fact, decides that now's the time to write that R01, but they've watched how the process really works. They've watched the PI. They have a longer time to understand what the real obligations are rather than rushing everybody. Now, I'm not against rushing people to independence who want that. All I'm saying is I think that there's a larger body of people out there who may not want that, number one. Number two, think about what our system does. It's a binary decision at a very, very short period of time. And if they're lost forever. Think about the commitment we've made to the education of those people, the mentoring time, the fellowship dollars, all of the other thing that's gone. And now, because they are left with either an R01 or no R01, and they're off. And I'm saying, I think, under certain circumstances, for the right people, with the right mentors, with the right administrative leadership, because I want to emphasize that there are potential for abuses here. But I think in that environment, I think we should give this a try. You may be right, but I think this is worth a try.
Just provoking.
No, I think it's an experiment. That's why I presented it that way.
One more question.
Jake?
My first question, intended humor, is what uniform should this new entity wear? And I just propose a Ralph Lauren type of denim with string ties. But more seriously, it seems to me that really proactively including the PhD scientist trainee in this process,
Right.
and giving them that kind of clinical exposure,
Right.
allowing them past the border of this medical elitism to a degree,
Right.
I think is a vitally important skill.
I think you're absolutely right. I didn't have time to go into everything today, needless to say, but we have just, this week, we will finish our first Introduction to Clinical and Translational Science course that I'm leading at Rockefeller for only our basic scientists, for PhD students and postdocs. And it's designed to introduce them to the concepts, because I think we need to work both ends, and to sensitize them to the realities of the way clinicians will see the world for just the reasons that you're saying. Their final exam is they're writing a protocol. They can make up whatever study they want to do. And their real torture is coming next week, where they will sit as the IRB on all of their own protocols. I think we definitely need to do both ends. Because it's really not the uniform that's the key, it's the sensitization. It's the realization that we are different cultures, but we live in a city that if it has one defining value, it's this amazing commitment going back to 1657 and the Flushing Remonstrance of tolerance. And really what we're talking about is academic tolerance and an understanding that you get enriched by having people who see the world differently, as long as you understand what the real goals are. So it's not easy, but I actually think that just talking about it has a very beneficial effect. Our community outreach at Rockefeller is to our basic scientists.
Thank you. Actually, I'm reminded of two things, both to thank Barry and to say that when Dean Spiegel came here, he gave his talk on consilience. Go look that up. And in fact, since Vern is here, I'm reminded that the PhD awardees at graduation do take an oath at Einstein. So with those minor clarifications, again, thank you very much to all the keynote speakers. We've had wonderful and deep presentations. Our scientific community here and all of you in the audience, I invite you to an informal wine and cheese reception out here, and thanks again.